Well, hello. Welcome back to Metal in Review. Yeah, let's do that. Rock and Metal in Review. That's going to be the full name of the show, but whether you'll see rock or metal depends on the album I'm talking about. And, well, this time I'm talking about the new Cannibal Corpse album, Chaos Horrific. Now, I think I'm going to ditch the track by track format like I tried to do in the Stained review and kind of gave up halfway through because I realized that a lot of the songs on albums sound very similar to each other, so kind of doing a track by track is not really the greatest since I kind of tend to say about the same things about each song. So, yeah, let's just get into the things that I like and dislike about this new Cannibal Corpse album. There's not a whole lot I dislike. But let's go over some of the pros for a second. So, Chaos Horrific came out on September 22nd, so a little less than a week ago, as from the day I'm recording this, which is the 27th. It is the 16th studio album by Cannibal Corpse, and that is impressive. One, it's impressive that the band has been around for this long and have been able to do what they do, but also for their 16th album and still be this good. I mean, if anything, they're getting better. Like, I really, really enjoyed Violence and Imagine from 2021. I thought that album ruled. At least a handful of songs were really, really awesome. And yeah, I honestly really like most of the songs on this entire album. I mean, I have them all in my like songs on Spotify, so that's got to mean something, right? But why do I like this album in particular? Why do I think it is so good? Well, one of those things is the sound quality of the album. The production and the way that all the instruments sound is just top notch. It's really brutal, really heavy, but it also doesn't really it's not really muddy at all. Like you can still make out a lot of the notes, which is impressive considering Cannibal Corpse tune extremely low. Like they use like 7-string style tunings on 6-string guitars. So just to get that kind of clarity is awesome and have it not clash with the bass at all. I just think that's really, really awesome. And of course, the drumming is fantastic too. And the album doesn't really ever let up in terms of how heavy and how brutal it is. Like, even the first song, Overlords of Violence, you put it on, immediately just gut punches you, or, you know, slices you in half with a sword. It's probably more apt for Cannibal Corpse. Yeah, it just opens with a heavy ass riff and just goes into this bass line similar to Hammer Smashed Face almost, which is an absolute classic by the band if you didn't know. But how would you not know if you're watching a Cannibal Corpse video? But yeah, Overlord's Violence, great opening track. And yeah, it just stays super heavy, super brutal throughout. And I think it has a good blend of the more technical stuff and as well as the more just heavy caveman style kind of riffing and just the more mid-tempo to lower tempo kind of stuff. I mean, I like it when death metal gets super slow and doomy, and that songs like Drain You Empty and of course the lead single Bloodblind do amazingly well, as well as songs like Frenzied Feeding has some moments like that too. It's really, really sick. Um, yeah, and another, as far as other pros go, just George Fisher, aka Corpse Grinder. I mean, the dude just the dude just keeps getting better with his vocals on every album, I swear. He just sounds so his vocal production is just so raw, and I can almost like there's almost like a texture to his vocals where it's like I can feel how like much he's like straining his throat, not really straining his throat, but just how much force he's putting into his gutturals and his growls and screams, and it's just it's so good. I love it. And another pro for me is honestly the shorter runtime. I mean, this album is just shy of 40 minutes, and I think that is a perfect runtime. Honestly, it doesn't overstay its welcome, but it also doesn't feel like it went by too quickly. And that's something I can really appreciate in a death metal album. I think the 40 to 45-minute range is like perfect. And as far as cons go, there's really not a whole lot. The only thing I can really say is that maybe the sound is a little bit too consistent. Like, a lot of the songs kind of bleed together and really sound similar to one another, but I mean, that's kind of a thing with death metal. That's kind of what you get, you know, when music gets this extreme, there's not a whole lot of variety. unless you add elements of other genres, like maybe like progressive metal and or just straight up thrash or whatever, or doom metal, things like that. But if you're just a raw, straight up, just brutal, more brutal death metal like this album, that's just kind of how it is. And this is more of a problem that I have with Cannibal Corpse's albums in general, but they're a lot of them are very, especially this one, they're very front loaded. Like like my absolute favorite songs on the album are the first four. Overlord's Violence, Frenzied Feeding, Summon for Sacrifice, and Bloodblind. And two of those were the singles, which I don't know. I'm starting to become more okay if the singles are the best songs on the album because like obviously they're meant to showcase the best of the best before the album comes out. I really like the title track Chaos Perfect too. Um, but I mean other songs like Pitchfork Impalement, Fracture and Refracture, Pestilential Rictus is probably my least favorite off the album, but it's still good. It is still very good. But yeah, that's really about it in terms of the record, honestly. I don't have a whole lot more to say, so I will wrap it up there. For a score, I'll probably give it like, let's say an 8 out of 10. I think an 8 is fair, especially in terms of Cannibal Corpse albums. This is definitely one of the better ones in their discography, I feel like, upon the second listen, because I listened to every album twice before I try to provide an opinion on it. So yeah, that's really all I have to say about this newest Cannibal Corpse album, Chaos Horrific. Thank you all for listening and watching the video, and thank you so much for watching the Stained album review. I was really impressed with the analytics from that, and I'm hoping we could just go even higher, because that would be awesome. Next album I'm gonna review is gonna be the newest album from Code Orange called The Above. It's 2 days away from release as I am speaking, but yeah, that album review should come out pretty soon. So yeah, that's really all I have to say. So keep on rocking and rolling.